Give me a song, Piano Man. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the show. This is episode 676 of the Two Dum Yinzers. I'd like to welcome everybody back on this Friday installment of the show. Good morning, everybody. How you doing today, Mike?
I'm doing great. I'm cold, which is weird because yesterday when it was Arctic temperatures outside where we record, I was warm and sweaty. Now it's warmer outside and I'm freezing. I just
Not,
want to
not,
blame I blame Arthur Smith and Rooney.
now you are generally a warmer guy. You like it warm outside when it's
Oh
cold. You're not
yeah.
as happy. What I mean, don't isn't the amount of things that happen during the winter, don't they add up and make you dislike winter more than summer? Because you got to admit there's a lot more that comes with winter than comes with summer. With summer, you have the heat and you have to beat
Yeah.
that.
I hate that.
But with winter though, I mean there's a list of um, just things that I absolutely hate, and the list is rather long. I mean, again, summer it's hot, you find some AC, you go and chill your ass out. But
Yeah.
I mean, the winter, Mike. I mean, I could come up with a list of a lot of reasons why winter, outside of football season, is no fun. It's certainly here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it sucks. When I was younger, I used to really love the winter. 'Cause, you'd be able to go outside and sled ride and do all that kind of fun stuff, and my lights dying on me. But I'd be able to do all that fun stuff now. Now I'm old. I don't want to go outside. I don't want the cold. I no, I don't want the summer either. Give me nice spring, 75 degrees and sunny, and I'm happy.
No, I listen. The winter. Let me give you some reasons that winter is bad. And again, this
Yes.
is outside of football season. When it's football season, I love winter.
Yeah.
All right, so just let me. I just a few things I do have jotted down here.
Okay.
All right, so when you go anywhere in the wintertime, you have to bundle up, dress accordingly, put on
Hmm.
a long shirt, maybe a jacket. You got to make sure you have socks on under your shoes because it's a thing. So, for one, the bundling up, not a big fan of. Number two, to even get to your car, you have to shovel your way to the
Hmm.
car, opposed to when it's warm, getting up, throwing on a shirt, throwing on your shoes, walking out the door, hopping in the car. You don't have to shovel, you have to make your way to your vehicle to make your way elsewhere.
Yeah.
So then when you're walking, when you're shoveling in the snow, then you got to try not to fall.
Hmm.
Slipping is a thing, slipping and falling, and then you got to hope that the car door isn't frozen. And once it's not frozen and the door, the key turns, then you're like,
Hmm.
okay, this is cool. Then you get in the
Yeah.
car, in that dusting of snow that always falls on your driver's seat. As soon as you open up your driver's seat from the roof, goes
Yeah.
right on your seat. You sit on that, and then what? You try to start your car and hope that your car starts. Mike, I'm only at like the fourth one. This is already the worst winter ever. Okay, so you hope that your car starts,
Yeah.
you
Uh-huh.
start it up, and now you have to warm it. Okay, so
Hmm.
now you got a good 5 to 8 minutes invested
Yeah.
just in the warming process.
Yeah.
Now
Hmm.
you got to get out and scrape your windows.
Hmm.
This is just a run to the store. As before I said, you throw on your shirt, shoes, run outside. I could be home from the store in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So now we're at the scraping of the windows, Mike. The scraping
Hmm.
of the windows would
Scraping
be
of the
next.
windows.
And when you're out there doing that, your fingers are getting cold.
Oh yeah.
Snot is running into your facial hair. And if you have a mustache, whatever's going on, you
It's
have
the worst.
this snot. So then, as you're doing that, snow is leaking into your shoes, going down in between your shoes and your socks and your feet. Another thing that I hate about winter. Let's see what else. So then you go to get back in the car, Mike, and you don't want to sit in the two-time dusting
No.
on your seat.
Uh-uh.
So you take your numb fingers that are numb from scraping the windows in the sub-cold weather, and now you have to wipe the snow off of your seat with your numb fingers.
Yes.
Let's see. Then you get in and you hope that the car's warm, and if it is, it's actually warm. Now you have to cautiously pull out. It isn't like you get in the car, you gun it, do your thing. Um, Now you have to cautiously drive all the way to where you're going. You're sliding.
Yes.
You have somebody in front of you going 3 and somebody in a truck behind you going 99.
You're not wrong. You
That
are
never
not
fails.
wrong. You're not wrong on that one.
Then you get to where you're going, and you have to walk through the slush when you get out.
Yeah.
And then you unbundle, and then you go through the regrouping and gaining of yourself of everything that you just went through to get to where it is. Like I said, you might have to just go down and get a pack of Tic Tacs, and this is all that you do. Other things that I dislike about this: tires deflate more in the wintertime.
Oh yeah.
Seeing my own breath as I'm sitting in the car waiting for it to warm up. The car is basically a giant mobile freezer at this point.
Yeah, and at every breath you take, your window fogs up more because everything's not ready yet.
Yes. Like the other day, I was hesitant to take the garbage out because it was 4 degrees,
Mm-hmm.
and like I thought, summertime it would have been done at 8 o'clock in the evening and would have been done. I would have never thought of it again.
Yeah.
I thought about this all night long. It was 3 in the morning. I'm thinking, oh God, I still got to take this garbage out. What else? Oh, okay.
You have
Here's some more.
literally thoughts. Oh my God, you're still going.
But wait, it gets worse.
Oh, it gets worse.
So then, when you're going anywhere, you have to do the little slow tiptoe walk that you have to do so you don't fall.
Yeah, you don't want to
on your ass.
Fall. Yes.
That's a thing.
You got to do the shuffle. The shuffle.
You got to shuffle, and then wherever you go, you're gonna have red face for the next hour and a half because it's so cold outside. So if you listen, you better hope you have your thermal underwear on too sometime, because listen, what if you're in a situation and you lock your car, your door does freeze, now you're outside. Listen, there's nothing good that comes from winter. Nothing. A lot of people that do watch the show, we know are from Las Vegas and Florida and all these other places, and I got to tell you that I envy them.
Yeah.
Because once football season's over, I'm not sitting around thinking how great winter is. I'm counting down the days, Mike, because in the summer, you hop in the car and you hit the highway and you're good.
You're just cruising.
Now, what's worse? Not having any heater or not having any air conditioner in your car. I would think it would be not having any heater.
Yeah.
Because again, you could roll down your window, get the breeze, you can make it happen. But when it's -4 and you're driving anywhere with no heat,
you can't. You have to scrape the inside of your windshield.
Like what's going on? That there's frost on the inside and the outside.
Yeah, F that nonsense.
So have I sold you yet, Mike? I mean, I think I have a pretty good argument here.
You do have a compelling argument. Now, I hate the summer. I hate it once it gets over 82 degrees. I just want to die. And now that I'm older, once it gets below 32, I want to start murdering people. So like I said, you give me fall and spring anymore, I'm a happy, happy camper. Winter brings me no more joy. Summer brings me no more joy, since there is no more summer vacation because we're no longer in school, which is some bullshit. We should institute that, bring that back for adults to have summer vacation. But yeah, you sold me on how much winter sucks, especially when there's
nothing
no football.
Good comes from winter.
Well, then, in my work hours, I leave the house at 2 in the fucking morning. So what you just said, transfer that to 2 a.m. when you're cold, you're freezing, you just woke up, you're not awake, you're sitting there scraping your car all blind.
I'm going to make this better for you, though, for a couple reasons. That actually is better because 2 reasons. For one, it will wake you up if you're out there scraping the car at that hour and you have to get yourself awake to go to work. That will wake you up.
But I don't want to be awake at work.
And 2, you're not dealing with any traffic on the road. I worked that shit for a long time, and that's one thing that I noticed. For years, I thought to myself, I'm so fortunate I don't have to deal with people on the road. So there are a couple advantages to working in the middle of the night. But Mike, it's the women, it's the people who are like, well, it's really pretty though. No, it's not pretty.
It is. I like you. Don't get me wrong, dude. Like when there's that good snowfall where no one's driving, I can just look out a window and drink my coffee. That brings me so much joy. It's just so peaceful looking. And then you can go on a walk out there and you just hear your footsteps crunch. You hear every sound.
Not a fan of that.
I like that. I like that
crunching.
I like that.
Even when there's no snow, the grass crunches and the dirt crunches. Dirt shouldn't crunch. I know this. I'm not a very smart guy, but I know that dirt doesn't generally crunch. And the last, okay, and then I'll stop. I'm kind of the last person that gets on my nerves when this weather's going down is the people that once you say, and again, this is small talk. You say to somebody, God, it's cold out. They go, well, you do live in Pittsburgh in winter. This is winter in Pittsburgh. You should expect this. No shit. For one, I don't even want to talk to you. I'm just kind of bringing up small talk. I hate when
Yeah.
people say that.
Yeah.
Well, it is Pittsburgh. Well, you do live in the wind. You do live in Western Pennsylvania in the wind. No shit. Again, most of the time I didn't even want to talk to you. Chances are it was small
Yeah.
talk, and I was just trying to, you know. But
Like
what would I have done after 45 years, Mike, if I wouldn't have known that I
I
lived in
know.
Pittsburgh? I would just kept
Like
complaining that it was cold every
what
year.
I hate
Crazy me.
what I hate
Crazy.
though is the people who have lived in Western PA, Eastern Ohio their entire lives and still don't know how to drive in the snow.
Mm.
That's what annoys me. I can understand you're a young driver, it's your first winter or two. That's acceptable. Anything after that, you should know how to drive in the snow. Yeah, it's I hate it. I hate it. I hate people who don't know how to drive in snow when you live in an area where it snows. And like Mark Malone says, he likes snow for a couple days. I'm getting into that boat. I just like it for a couple days. After that, it can bump off down the road.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at. So if you're anywhere but here, just know that I want to be where you're at. I guess Jen has it pretty rough. She's up in Wisconsin. I can't imagine it's much better up there. But a lot of the people that do live south of the Mason-Dixon line, I'm sure that they are chilly. But this sucks. I'm through with it. Here we are. What is this? The 17th of January. I'm already counting down the days to spring.
Deep cleansing breaths, my friend. Deep cleansing breaths. You okay now? You get that out of your system?
I do want to say good morning to Mark Malone, Finchy, guys. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? It's Friday, everybody.
I do like. I think we should discuss this one real quick. Imagine how long Derpy would deal with a weak car battery.
I seen that. I don't even know where to begin with that. I'm going to be honest.
Because if he can deal with the ding,
I don't even know where to start.
that loud ass chirp of his fire alarm.
Yeah.
Derpy's childhood nickname was Tic Tac.
Tic Tac. Yeah. So there you go, guys. Snow for a couple days, okay?
Yeah.
In small doses.
I just want one big snowstorm that lasts a week where people hate it and it sucks and no one's driving but me and the 4 people that go to work at that my hour. That's all I want, and I'll be happy.
Yeah. So I've met my quota. I'm done. We've been really fortunate. Like the past couple years have been very, very mild winters. I don't think we had 3 what you would call big snows last year at all. The year before, winter was mild as well. So this year we're really
but
getting
it's not bad.
That's the thing. I mean, it might not even be that bad. We're just used to it not being bad at all. But here we are. We're surviving. I guess
we have a total accumulation of 4 inches.
Yeah, if that. I mean, and then it hasn't been consecutive. Good morning, Mark. How you doing,
been a
brother?
bunch of Tic Tacs coming at us.
What's up?
I made a stupid joke. You can just blow right past it.
Good morning, Phil Steele. He said if Derby grew up with me in my block, we'd be booming all day.
No, that's a buddy cop combo if I've ever seen one. Steele and Derpy together.
Steele and Derby. That'd be a good movie. You thought 21 Jump Street remakes were funny. Oh yeah.
I legit think it would be great, man. To watch those two hang out. I think they just have a great fucking time, and I'd be jealous that I can't have a great time.
I would like to see Brian and Phil.
Now there's that.
I
don't know if that's a buddy cop movie or a Silence of the Lambs type movie. We're going there.
And on 21 Jump Street, remember when Jonah, I think it was Jonah, one of the two had to dress up like Peter Pan. And if they just had all the adventures of one of those movies and how to do all those things and Phil and Derpy or Phil and Brian.
Awesome.
But guys, let's get into some sports talk. Here's an interesting thing, guys. If you are from Western PA or you have a loyal fanship to some teams here, here's something I want to throw at you. This is interesting, Mike. I seen one of the local guys had this up yesterday. This is check this out. Steelers, Pitt football, Pitt basketball, Penn State football, Penguins, and the Pittsburgh Pirates have a combined losing streak of 19 straight games. If you take all those teams,
Ooh.
which being some of them would just be the end of their season, like the Pittsburgh Pirates, whatever. Between all of our teams, the Steelers, Pitt football, Pitt basketball, Penn State football, Penguins, and Pirates, we have a combined 19 game losing streak going on between all of our teams. Mike, is anybody ever going to win from here ever again?
God, I don't think so, because I just saw what Pitt basketball lost last night or the night before.
Hey, they lost last night. They play
Yeah,
tomorrow.
so
The Penguins play twice over the
I don't see
weekend.
them winning it for a while.
And, Penn State and Pitt
Yeah.
are done.
Yeah.
Steelers are done. So, the streak could only, come on. The
Yeah,
Pirates are right around the corner. And you would think that the basketball team at some point would probably win here,
like,
but 19
woo.
straight losses, guys. If you combine them all together between all of those teams, Steelers, Pitt football, Pitt basketball, Penn State football, Penguins, and the Pittsburgh Pirates combined 19 straight games, a losing streak combined.
That's right. When my Baltimore Ravens win this week, and when my Kansas City Chiefs win this week, I'll be riding high, boys. I'll be on a 2-game win streak.
You got to keep up with.
I got to root for them. I got to root for them. They're now my team, so that's how I'm gonna break this 19-game lose streak. I'm just gonna adopt these teams.
And you got Baltimore. Derpy has Buffalo. So that is the game that's going to decide everything this week. The latest game, the last game of the weekend, of course, in the NFL. Should be really good. I think they're all going to be good. But I think pound for pound, star-wise, seeing the Baltimore-Buffalo game, I think you're getting your bang for your buck. A lot of good players, a lot of good stars in this football game. I'm not saying that there's not others, but between both teams, if you're going to take two teams that are playing together and think of all the people that you would like to see, I would think that those two.
Yeah, and they're both playing at a high level. Even though Baltimore only scored 28 points, people were clowning them for that against the Steelers. But it's a divisional opponent. 28 points is that's more. It's like the same amount. The highest.
And that's a million compared to what they usually score.
Yeah.
Come on, those last two games.
But I think you have the best quarterback matchup in that game. I think you have just the best matchup in that game. Like the way those teams play, they both play fast, physical on defense. It's going to be a fun game.
Let me see. Phil still says, heck no, I don't play ping pong. Referring back to doing a reality show with Brian. We'll run it right here on our channel. I swear to you, Phil. You and Brian doing a reality show, living together in a small.
My God!
And we could comment on it. It would run live all the time.
Oh my God!
On the channel. But we would jump in during our hour and comment, and they would do it on Friday nights.
And then
it could be a whole thing.
Derpy can pop in from time to time.
Yeah. He could be like their lifeline if they're if there's a challenge or something when they're doing their thing. They could always go to Derpy for assistance. Finchy says arm Pittsburgh. And say dirt. Yeah. Yinzers with attitude. I like it. Who would you be, Mike? You'd be Dr. Dre because you got the bald head. I don't know. Moving on. Well, that's I don't know. If I'm not real sure. I think they have Eazy-E. They have Ice Cube.
I'm definitely not Ice Cube. I'm not that lyrical. I'm more like Yella back there, backup DJ.
Yeah,
that's fine. That's fine. I'll be in the group, man. I'm just happy to be here. I woke up 20 minutes before the show started, so I'm doing great. I'm just happy to be here.
News a couple days old, of course. George Pickens, when he was asked about the offensive growth, if that makes him feel optimistic, he also replies with a genuinely intelligent answer, and simply just says,
well, and the funny thing is, preceding that, he was talking about the growth of the offense. And then they go, does it make you optimistic? No. George,
the guy's a kook.
The statements and the questions, they go together. If you're happy with the growth that you saw, that would make you optimistic. Did he just not know what the word meant? Did he think they said? Did he think they said pessimistic or they said optimistic, and he was thinking pessimistic? And that's I'm just trying to put myself in his shoes.
Yes, Mark Malone, MC Ren. That's another one. All right, so sticking on the George Pickens thing, here is something interesting, guys. Oh, since 2000. Now keep that in mind because this is 2025. Since 2000, this is a list of the most catches or 30 plus yards since 2000. Number 1, Tyreek Hill has the lead. He has 13. He has 13 catches of 30 plus yards since the year 2000. Guys, number 2 all by himself, George
Wow.
Pickens with 12. He's number 2 behind Tyreek all by himself, 12
Ooh.
catches of 30 or more. Let me complete the list, and we will talk a little bit about this. Randy Moss, Mike Wallace are 3 and 4 with 11 each. Mike Wallace and Randy Moss. Calvin Johnson would be
Wow.
number 5. Tyreek Hill would be number 6. Sammy Watkins would be number 7. Marvin Jones Jr. will be 8. 9 would be Brandon Lloyd, and 10 would be Devontae Adams, all with 10. All those guys, Tyreek Hill, the second time, 10. Calvin Johnson, Sammy Watkins, Marvin Jones Jr., Brandon Lloyd, Devontae Adams, they finish out the top 10 list. They all have 10 catches of 30 or more. Now, this is passes in
Yeah.
the air. It's not get the ball 5 yards and make a 30-yard play. That's the list, guys. At the very tippy top is Tyreek Hill with 13 of them. Just right behind him, George Pickens, 12 of them. Obviously playing less time than all these guys. So this is kind of be my question today. What direction are we going to go with a lot of these issues? We're not
Yeah.
going to be able to fix everything next year. I mean, we walked out of this game. Usually there's 1 or 2 things that you walk away from the season and you think, oh, we really need to, for example, let's work on this offensive line this year. Let's look at the free agents. Let's get the draft board out. But you got to be honest, Mike, especially with Arthur Smith taking these interviews with Chicago and with the Jets, which I think they're out of their mind anyway. They weren't good offenses to begin with. Did they see what went on here? But anyway, that's besides the point. So for one, you may be replacing your
Mm-hmm.
offensive coordinator. You're probably going to be playing with a different quarterback, whether it be Fields or not. It's probably going to be a different starting quarterback. I can't imagine that Russell Wilson will step back in
Yeah.
and start at quarterback, especially right out the gate. Maybe if things happen or whatever. And then you have the running back situation. If Najee does leave, now we have the burden of finding, another running back, a starting running back, if you will. I mean, if Warren goes down, we have to be prepared for that situation. On top of that, we have to hope that the line could stay healthy. I mean, from day one, the linemen were dropping like flies, starting with nasty Nate Herbig, the whole way down the line. And then we have to hope that we could find, a couple more receivers. Yeah, Roman Wilson is going to be
Mm-hmm.
back hopefully next year. The guy never played it down. I mean, we're all going off the assumption that he's going to be good because he looked good in college, which that doesn't always translate over. And then you have the number one receiver position where I mean the storylines are endless with this guy. Mike, there's going to have to be a lot of changes in this offseason, and that's not even going to get us to where we want to be because again, we are going to be unless Justin Fields turns things around in his career and becomes this amazing quarterback over the next 6 months. We have a lot to overcome with still problems that we're going to have to overcome down the road. And
Yeah.
we know this, such as getting a starting quarterback, so on and so forth. Mike, those are only the offensive issues. We didn't even touch the defensive
Yeah.
side of the ball. That's only the offense. So what I'm saying is, even if we make all these changes and you get a bunch of young guys or you get a bunch of new guys, I mean, you're kind of starting over in a sense because these guys they're learning the system as they come, and it's you see how guys that just came over generally do. I mean, you're Justin Jefferson, you're Mike Williams, even for that matter. So if you get a decent name, you think to yourself, okay, we're good. But for whatever reason, things went the way they did with him. He caught most of the passes thrown to him. Still wasn't included in the offense after a whole half a season. One
Yeah.
catch here, one catch there throughout the stretch. Mike, we are the only team in the NFL that is on a 5-game losing streak. We're the only team. Nobody has lost 5 games to finish this season except for us. And we know that we have to make a lot of changes. And as I said, that's just half of the battle. We haven't even got into the defensive
Yep.
line. We haven't got into the safeties. We haven't got into the cornerbacks. Mike, I, maybe this is the year. Maybe this is the year. And again, you don't want to say it. You don't want to say it out loud. But maybe this is the year that we go for a low record and look to take a top 10 quarterback in the following year's draft. That's right, here in Pittsburgh.
That
Boy,
would
would that
be.
be something for the Pittsburgh Steelers fans if in Pittsburgh on draft day next year, 2026, if we bring in the guy that we believe is going to be the quarterback of the future. I think that could be amazing. I'm not saying to crash next season, but I'm saying there's a lot of things going on, Mike, where it might just happen without even trying.
Yeah, it's do what some of the other teams did. Just get your team in place to where you can plug in if you think he's the guy, your first round quarterback. Just build this year, go in with a substandard quarterback play, and knowing next year we're going to get our guy. Do it. That's what I would do at this point. Screw it. Because getting into the playoffs and losing in the first round, or having a losing season and getting a brand new quarterback to propel you into the future, the next year and the year after and the year after that, would be the smart
Let me
play.
ask you, Mike, in the big picture,
Mhm.
zoom out. Would you rather get to the playoffs next year and win one game and get eliminated, or would you rather not have a good season at all and be able to have the opportunity
Mm.
to get your guy in the top 10 to do other things that you may not have been able to do because those draft picks also move up in the later rounds too. If you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So what actually, I mean, you know that everybody wants to win, and you know everybody wants to win the Super Bowl every year. But what actually happens, Mike, when in this
I'd
situation?
rather.
What do you
I prefer to
prefer?
have a down year.
Because everybody
Everyone
wants
wants
to
to
win. I
win,
mean, that's
but
that's that.
I'd get a down year and set myself up for success. Because not only am I drafting to get a quarterback in the first round, but now I can get the pick of these other guys that are going to be, available to me that I normally not available. I wouldn't have a chance to in the second, third, fourth round to get
Yeah,
more impact players. And we're seeing from Owen on, he's been able to find guys later in the draft. Well, give him a bigger pool of guys to find later in the draft that are still sitting there. If we pick in the top 10, I'd rather have that a top 10 pick in every round of the draft. Give me that, and then I can build my team going forward.
and like I said, Mike, again, and I obviously understand that Arthur Smith is testing the
Yeah.
waters. He's going around talking. I mean, if he's a smart guy, I don't think he would go to any of these teams because again, he was successful. Oh, this weather's killing me. He was successful in Tennessee
Hmm.
as the offensive coordinator. He had three, 10
Yeah.
and 7 seasons. And then he goes off to Atlanta with not a bad Atlanta team. They got players, and he was terrible. So then he comes here as an offensive coordinator, has a far not
Hmm.
as good a season as he had in any of those. See, I guess he was 10 and 7. They were winning. We were 10 and 7. We were losing. So there's a
Yeah.
different feel to that. Uh, what's or any is he going to actually go to any of these teams, Mike? And again, what is it that they see in Arthur Smith? If you look back and say, okay, maybe if you have Henry
Hmm.
like he had in Tennessee, it might be different. But it's a two-side question for me. What do they see in him? And is he really going to make a move? And if he does, then again, we have that hole to fill, which we could bring in somebody who's not as good, which generally we do. We don't hire great coordinators for whatever reason. You can bring in somebody that's not as good, and we
Yeah.
can't get the offense going. There's so many questions this offseason. It's
Yeah. If
unbelievable.
if I'm Arthur Smith, uh, I, I would go take a head coaching job. I mean, what shit, man? I'm gonna make more money, and then
Maybe get
yeah,
buy a
and then
chin.
I'm in that category of failed head coaches that keep getting recycled over and over and over again, and that's a nice revolving door to be in. And it just be the guys who keep failing upwards and get into that cycle, keep doing that, be a offensive coordinator for a while, go back to being a head coach, get into that rhythm, do that. But yeah, I would go be a head coach. And what teams are seeing in him, like, only thing I can think of is maybe they're looking at the way his offense can be run, like when it's run well. Like we saw, we had a We had a nice.
Guess what? My offense could run really well too.
If you
If
had like
I
the right quarterback and they're thinking,
right.
okay, we can get a quarterback like this. We got receiver, we got a quarterback who can hit, deep middle of the field, the deep part of the field, the middle of the field, the sides, the outs. Okay, we can. Oh, we got a good running back that we can use to play action with. We got a quasi mobile quarterback that can do his rollouts, bootlegs. Okay, we can do this. Yeah, he can come in, be the head coach. We can build around his system, bring him in an offense coordinator that can run it. That's what teams will do. And that's what they're probably talking themselves into. They're going to look at that window where Pittsburgh offense was humming and putting up some decent amount of points and go, oh, cool, man. We think our players are better than what the Steelers have. We get Arthur Smith in here as head coach, build a whole system around it. Let's go. That would be the only reason I would hire him.
Yeah, really
His
great
his
players.
tenure in Pittsburgh as an offensive coordinator, we saw it was up and down. His tenure as a head coach in Atlanta was up and down. You see that this guy likes to rotate players in and out. So your star players aren't getting used a whole lot. People tend to forget that. But owners are not the smartest people. These football owners are not the smartest minds, but they'll see, oh, this is the shiny name that's going about right now. Let me go get them.
Let me talk to Phil for a couple minutes. Phil says, there I am, fellas. Profile pic. I am the Psycho Steeler. Yes, I'm ugly. Hey, you can look at our ugly
Right?
mugs every day, man.
Look at us, brother.
Oh,
I mean, look at
he also
Ryan. Look at
says,
Ryan. You look at me, you see beautiful.
he says the Steelers offense looked like how, what the heck they practice. I wanted Smith gone after week 3. I saw Canada offense out there all season, endless 3, and he's not wrong.
We had a window. We had a window where the offense was moving for a little bit. I didn't say it was great.
Yeah, but you don't get the Jets and the Raiders all season long. I mean, you only get those games, the Giants. You only get that run every once in a while. And luckily, we were fortunate.
Yeah,
We did take advantage, and would have liked to win a couple more games in that period of time with the Colts and the Browns and all those other games. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. Good football teams make it happen. We semi made it happen. We were a semi good football team. And here's the thing. Here's a comment that was made about Mike Tomlin. It says Mike is the GOAT of being above average, but not elite. He's the GOAT at being above average, but not elite. When you stop and think about that,
It's true. He's in that category like him and Mike McCarthy. They'll get you there. They'll get you to the playoffs.
Like him and Mike McCarthy are almost identical. You take their
after
numbers,
you get to that point, there's a fall off.
Also, this is, everybody loves to make this comparison, and I don't generally anymore because it is what it is, and there's not much you can do to change it. But I do like to throw it out there because, again, people are talking about these things, and this is Chuck Noll in 23 years of coaching, never went longer than 4 years without a playoff win. Cowher in 15 years of coaching us, never went longer than 3 years. Mike Tomlin, who's been there 18 years, is now on his 8th consecutive year without a playoff win. I'm not saying the guy ain't good. Maybe his time's just up. Maybe there's times in life that it's just time to move on. And I worked at a job for 2 decades, and I loved it. And I worked there. I worked hard and had a lot of friends there. And there's times it's just it's just time. And I think that that about yourself as an individual. But it's a business. There's a lot of money involved, and this is what they have going on up there. Mark says no. Tomlin has a top tier front office. He's a bottom tier coach. Put the two together, and when you get average, and that's that's
Here's
what we've been. Complete average, except we're not winning anything in the playoffs to make it average. We're doing good in the regular season, and then there's nothing in the postseason to even make it average. So I think that we're at less than average.
I was gonna say, people want to talk about it's funny, the front office, oh, Kevin Colbert is a genius. He was a genius. He did all this. But when you start looking at the roster, oh, that was Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin created the roster. Well, which is it? Kevin Colbert, did he draft and sign these free agents, or was it Mike Tomlin who signed the free agents, and they failed, and then it's Tomlin's fault? When they turn out well, is it Colbert's fault? I mean, I it's just something I think about all the time when they talk about Tomlin has his fingerprints all over the roster. Well, Kevin Colbert was the GM for almost 20 years here, and he's regarded in NFL circles and in Pittsburgh as a genius, as someone who should go in the Hall of Fame for the rosters that he built. Then, and the same side of other side of the people's mouths and say, well, Tomlin picked all these players that suck. Well, did he pick the players that suck and Colbert only picked the players that were good? You can't have it both ways. You can't say we have a great front office and then other side of your mouth say Mike Tomlin's picking these players and they suck. It's you can't have it both ways. It has to.
Is it one or the other?
It can't be one or it can't be like, oh, all the good players that Colbert he picked, all the bad players Tomlin picked. They have to work together, and it's again, everyone has their hand in the pie.
That's my
everyone
take.
has their hand in the pie on this one.
Well, I don't know anybody that is talking about that at this exact moment, but I agree with you in a sense that it's a
team effort. Yeah,
a group effort. The GM isn't sitting there doing all the work while the head coach sits there and I mean I don't think that Mike Tomlin walks around with his hands in his pocket, but you would think that it would be a combined effort between everybody. Because the draft is a big thing. You're bringing players in and you're trying to figure out what you need, what kind of money you're going to be able to pay your guy. So I mean, there's a lot of things that go into it. But in the sense he's not wrong either, because the results are just giving us complete average. We cannot break through the average barrier. Mark also says Tomlin had very little to do for the first vast majority of his career. He does have a lot to do with it now. And like I said, I mean, as far as I know, I think they're all
like where's the evidence to point that this is a fact.
But and at the end of the day, whatever's working, whatever's going on, it's not working. Whether it be the coach and no GM, and no coach, GM and coach, none of it. It's all coming out the same. It's coming out the same garbage at the very end, and that's what matters. Maybe look at both of them. I don't know if you can look one way or the other, but I do know that we're getting the same garbage results year after year. We are what was it, Mike? We're the GOAT of
above average.
Above average. Yeah, but we're not elite, and I don't see any signs of being elite anytime soon. But again, where my opinion lies with that, and what you have to do to become elite, and that might just be not winning a lot of football games next year, which is going to be terrible and tough. But again, think of maybe the 2 decades afterwards you might have with the quarterback that you love, like Ben Roethlisberger, like we had here for a long time. So again, if that does happen, I don't know. I know that it happens. I mean, guys just don't play hard and they throw it, and it's kind of an unwritten thing. But maybe that's just what we got to do, guys.
Real quick, right back to like the quarterback discussion, and just looking at like the big board going into next year's draft. I know it's fucking early, but there's like 8 quarterbacks rated within the top 40, and this year there's like 2 rated in the top 40. So, or excuse me, 3 this year in the top 40. Next year would be the year I'm going to get a quarterback. I don't really trust anyone outside of Cam Ward right now.
Well, check this out. Colin Cowherd. Now this guy always has something dumb to say. This was his latest, and I know you'll love this, Phil. Colin Cowherd says trade TJ Watt, George Pickens, and 2 first-round picks to get Shedeur Sanders.
If you think wasn't it if he's your guy?
That's Well, that's the thing. I don't think he's our guy. I don't think that. Again, he's not from a strong conference for one. For two, he has a lot of name power. You just wonder how far that's going to go. And again, TJ, GP, and 2 first-round draft picks. I don't think so. Come on. Maybe again, as you said, if you're getting your guy, the guy that you knew that was going to be your guy for decades moving forward, it was going to get you a lot of wins. Maybe. But come on, Shedeur Sanders. I don't think so, guys. We're going to be.
But honestly, I have no problem with the premise of the argument. If there's a quarterback that you think can be your guy, you shouldn't be afraid to, give away assets to get that guy. Now, do I think Sanders is that guy? No. Do I think Cam Ward's that guy? No. But I think Cam Ward will be a good quarterback, but not enough to give up all of those assets to go get one. What I would do, I would trade those assets to acquire even more assets. If we're going to do a complete burn down of the building, all the players that we've talked about, move on from them, but I wouldn't package 2 of them plus 2 picks to go get one guy. I'd be packaging them all separately to get multiple picks back, in this draft and the draft next year to go out and get my guys.
Also, Mike, not to mention, we're the only NFL team that's on a 5-game losing streak to finish out the season. We also managed to lose 5 games in 30 days. which puts us at more than one loss per week when it plays out in average.
When you're playing
So,
a
I mean,
game every other day, it felt like my
so I mean, are we that far off from maybe throwing a
like,
season to get your
do it.
a
I
number one
would.
quarterback? I mean, we're only a game or two away from being a not good team if you look at what's going on in the
Yeah.
numbers here. But let's check with some of these messages on the board. Phil still says the drafts haven't worked. Am I right, Mike? What's the best draft that you could think of in the recent years?
Ooh.
Because I don't think that Phil's wrong. It could be. Here's the thing: at the end of every year, they tell us that we had one of the best drafts. We had a B plus. We
Yeah.
had an A. But at the end of the day, why are we not improving? Are these drafts not as good as people say that as people tell us that they are, Mike? Or what's going on? Why? What's been the most impressive draft for
Oh
you for the Steelers in the
God. Is
semi-recent
semi-recent history? Oh God. I'm taking a look real quick at some of these draft classes. I still think the 2023 draft will have potential to turn out to be a pretty good draft. Even if Broderick Jones doesn't pan out, Keanu Benton, Joey Porter Jr., Darnell Washington, Nick Herbig, that's a solid draft right there. This one right here, we got
Yeah.
what, Peyton Wilson this year, Zach Frazier, Mason McCormick, already paying dividends under Omar Khan. Then going back through
And
the last Kevin Colbert
and,
drafts, there's none that are really impressive.
and we do expect the Fatano to be one of our guys long term too. I
Yeah.
mean, he took an injury early, and so we'll see
You
if he could
can
be that guy as we hope. But
what
the thing is, Mike, we have pieces in
yeah.
place for the offensive line that we want. But there certainly has to be a big
Yeah.
amount of improvement over the next few
Yeah.
years. Certainly from that Broderick Jones spot. Of course, you got the two rookies. You hope that they both keep moving in the right direction. So we got some
Yeah.
nice people, and again, Fatanu, guy hasn't seen the field yet. He may be as
Yeah.
good as build, and
Because
we hope that
if he is, that's going to solve a lot of problems on that line. I'm a proponent from day one when we drafted this guy. That's our new left tackle, and then you got to figure out what's something with Sayamalu. I'm getting to the point where I'm jettisoning Sayamalu. I'm doing what I have to do to bring back James Daniels. And then you have Daniels, McCormick, Frazier, and then you go with Broderick Jones would be your 1 weak link, and I think you can work around that. But back to the original question, the last draft I was impressed with, 2017. Look at the TJ Watt, Juju, Cam Sutton, James Conner, Josh Dobbs. That was the last good draft class we had. From that had multiple players up until you can argue the 2023 draft.
Let's continue on. Andrew Joe says, "Yo, you can't trade the face of the franchise." TJ says, "Let me throw this out to you guys. I know you guys are big TJ fans. Phil and Andrew Joe. Let me throw this at you. Now, in the last 5 games of the season, like I just said, we lost 5 games in 30 days. We're the only team to finish with a 5-game losing streak. And I'm going to play devil's advocate here. In the 2 last games, TJ didn't record a single statistic. Now, I don't want to argue, and I don't want to say that he's not good. And I don't want you to yell at me and say that he is great. And I just want to know your opinion, guys. With that being said, what's your opinion on that? Because there was a game also in the stretch that he didn't have any statistic statistic line at all as well. Early on in that stretch late in the season. I just want to know from you guys. What's your opinion on that? Because it rubs me because, again, for one, he is the franchise, the face of the franchise. For two, he's potentially a contestant for Defensive Player of the Year every year. For three, he is the all-time sack leader in a season. What you guys? I want to know what your opinion, fellas, is about the performance of Watt in crunch time. Of course, as Mike always says, the team hasn't won a playoff game since Watt's been here. Again, this season, no stat line in the last 2 games, and then another one just 2 games prior to those 2. We could all, because here's the thing, we've all had our favorite Steelers over time, and we all wore our Rod Woodson jerseys until we were blue in the face when we were kids. What is it about TJ, guys, that again keeps us so high on him when a lot of times when it comes down to it, he doesn't get the job done? Again, I am just playing devil's advocate here. I like TJ. I just want to see what you guys think. Let's move forward here, guys.
Quick, TJ Watt's career in the postseason. 3 games with stat lines, 4 overall, 6 tackles, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble.
So I mean, the things that he does in the regular
Yeah.
season against the teams that we should be doing things like this against, it happens. But if we want to win, if we want to move forward, and you always say, well, TJ Watt would be a great piece because if he's the best player, then you want him to be, on the field but at the end of the day, if he's not performing, what's
And
the answer?
he's on the downside of his career. Okay, I love TJ Watt, but he's on the downside of his career. We haven't won a playoff game with him. We can continue to not win playoff games without him. If you can get something with him to make the team better in the long run, you have to at least consider it. I root for the players, but I
So
support
so
the
what the guys
logo,
are
and I want the logo to win long term.
so what the guys are saying, if pieces are in place, Mike, and we're playing
Mhm.
winning football, he would be highlighted a
Yeah,
lot more. But I think what Mike is saying, if the pieces aren't in place and we're not playing good football, should he be highlighted any less? Or the same, because again, he's not performing. And I get what you guys are saying. Let me catch up on a couple of these messages, Mike, because some
yeah.
things do refer to what we're talking about. Let's start. I'm gonna come back to a couple of those guys because I'm gonna stay on this
Yeah.
TJ Watt thing for a couple minutes. John, good. Hey, what's up, my man? Happy afternoon to you. He says selfish to keep JJ. He won't win a ring with the Steelers. Get draft capital. Time to face facts and make business decisions. That's
Yeah,
kind of
that's
where
where
I'm
I
at
am.
now, guys. At some point, it's let's move on. John also says my old ass struggling typing correctly is it is like a right for
Oh,
life
Jesus
assignment.
God.
Bill says about his TJ, his guy TJ. He says doesn't always have to be 90 making the plays. There are 11 guys on the field. However, those other 11 guys have numbers in the stat line. That's the one thing that concerned me, guys, is the fact that he got. I don't want to say nothing done, but 20 years from now, you're reading the newspaper, you're reading your stats and your numbers. He's going to be invisible, and it's not going to
Like,
matter why. It's not going to matter if he was had a belly ache or whatever. So I guess that is
you
what
can
it
have a
is.
0 stat line and affect the game in a positive manner. Like this time he did not. We saw it earlier in the year where he had like a game with like 1 or 2 tackles, but he was affecting the play. He was forcing
And I
teams
don't. And listen again.
to play into mistakes, forcing teams to roll to the other side, and that's where the defense was, and it wasn't working down the stretch. He wasn't making those plays that go unnoticed in the score sheet. You see great players all the time will have like you look at the score sheet. Ooh, what did they do? You turn the tape on and like, oh, they did a lot of things. They forced the team to do the opponent to do this, this, and this, and that affected the outcome. And that didn't happen down the stretch with them, which is what we're accustomed to when he doesn't.
And I'm not playing. Listen, I'm just playing at devil's advocate. I really am. I'm trying to figure out the answers just like everybody else is. I'm not picking on TJ. Let's see what else everybody says here. Also, Mark Malone says supposedly he was playing hurt the last part of
And,
last year, and guys, just again, devil's advocate. Everybody is hurt at that
and
time of
he's
the
hurt a
year.
lot. He's
It's
hurt a lot. That's another thing.
and it's the NFL. There's guys hurt all again. Listen, I'm playing devil's advocate. So if I keep rebutting with what sounds like I'm shitting on him, I'm not. Again, just trying to figure out the answers like everybody else. John says they're going to take what's that? What is THUER?
Uh,
Is that a quarterback? I don't know. John, you're way ahead of me. I'm trying to figure out what THUER is. If that's a player, John says they're going to take him, take a shot in 2026 draft. The kid won't be Super Bowl ready that year. We are now 3 years out. How old will TJ
yeah.
be then? Yes, he certainly won't be a young man. And again, I'm missing the name there. I'm just not picking up on it. As maybe I'm just not catching it. But so I mean that's where we're at with that. And again, if we wanted to talk about the whole defense and things that might need changes, okay, there you go. Then that could be a whole show. That could be a whole episode. Unfortunately, we covered the offense today. The things that are going to have to happen. And Mike, is the defensive coordinator position, is that at risk, being that this highest paid
Oh
defense,
yeah.
um, and statistically, historically, how do you jump on this guy? How do you fire this guy? How do you do whatever? Because again, the last 6 playoff games, we got outscored 76-0 in the first quarter alone. So it's beyond Terrell Austin. It's these are some deep-rooted problems that this team has to figure out, guys. And they're saying realistically we're about 3 years out from being a competitive team. You hope. I think at this point that's the best case
that's
scenario.
if you hit on a quarterback, and that's going to be the key right there. And then just be fair, it's not just T.J. Watt that didn't step up. Hey, look at
Right,
Cam,
exactly.
Cam Hayward, 1 sack in 9 career playoff games, 1 sack, 17 tackles. It's these stars are not shining bright at the moment we need them. And like I said before, Franco Harris retired as Seattle Seahawk, and he won 4 fucking Super Bowls and is in the Hall of Fame. These guys have 0 Super Bowls and 1 Defensive Player of the Year award between the two of them. They can go retire somewhere else as long as it benefits the Pittsburgh Steelers. You can get draft capital for these guys. You do it. I want the Pittsburgh Steelers to win a Super Bowl. I can care less if Cam Hayward, T.J. Watt, Mason McCormick, Zach Frazier win a Super Bowl here. As long as the Steelers win a Super Bowl, I don't care who's on the roster. If it takes jettisoning these guys, that's what we have to do. You have to start looking at it like teams do in other sports. You trade assets together, garner more assets to make your team better. The Pittsburgh Penguins had to trade away Marc-Andre Fleury, and he was a cornerstone of 2 Stanley Cups. Look what they did in the 90s. They traded guys away that were key cogs of 1 Stanley Cup to win a second one. So you have to do this. You have to move on from players at some point. If you're not winning with them, move on, get assets. We're still going to have the memories of these guys wrecking games here. Let them move on. I want to, remember championships, not guys wrecking games in the regular season and disappearing in the playoffs.
I think all of our teams in Pittsburgh might be guilty of this right now. Might be
holding on to stars for too long.
Might be time to move down the road, guys. And again, we are on a 19-game losing streak as Pittsburgh fans, guys, between the Steelers, Pitt football, Pitt basketball, Penn State football, Penguins, and Pirates.
Yeah.
Those teams are on a 19-game losing streak, and somebody get a win for crying out loud.
Yeah. You can't rebuild on the fly. We're watching the Penguins and the Steelers try and both rebuild on the fly, and it's not working. You have to tear it down to rebuild. Yeah, that's what's going to have to happen.
We're a perfect example of that. We've been trying to rebuild on the fly for a decade now, and it just isn't working. At some point, you do have to fall below the Mason-Dixon line to maybe get some things that you need. So that's that, guys. Let's do also, Mike, on the defensive side of the ball. One name that I did see pop up because, of course, we're going to be looking at safeties. That guy from San Francisco, that Fafasa or whatever it is.
Afongo.
Yeah, he is somebody that he has a similar style as Troy Polamalu. He actually even works out with Troy in the offseason. I just thought he would be somebody that Pittsburgh would certainly be interested in picking.
Oh, dude, every time like the Steelers have played San Francisco, this guy's been making plays all over the place. Anytime you watch them play, he's making plays all over the field, and he's only going to be 24, 25. He's going to turn 25 this year. I'm doing what I can to get this guy. He's been a playmaker in this league. He's just a tackling machine back there. I would do what I can to get this guy.
Let me go back a little bit on some of these picks or some of these messages. People talking about draft picks. John says I would draft another O lineman. That isn't a finished project. Field of Steel says Warren and that guy from ASU or the guy from Iowa running backs in the backfield. We're gonna have to think of something, especially if Najee, we send him down the road. Let's see. Field of Steel says no. If Wilson Fields, okay, I think we did get that one. Let me move up here. All right, right about here. Looks like where we left. Okay, here we go. There's definitely no reason to be paying Minka. That's what Mark Malone says. Be paying him $20 million for what he did there. He that was armed robbery, highway robbery. What he pulled this year.
Good work if you can do it, man. I'm not gonna disrespect the hustle.
For me and us, it's not good. So
it's not good. A $22 million cap hit this year.
So whatever with him. Also, John says that is with QB luck, a QB miss puts the team back 3 to 5 years. The Steelers are 3 years removed from the Pickett draft, and they still are counting negative years. Yinzer Joe says Kabuli and Rob King think the team was very close. What do you think? Let me ask you that. It's one thing to think, take what these guys who supposedly know everything have to say. But let me ask you, what did you see? What do you feel? What do you think? Um,
Was it a close knit team?
he says they just hit a bad spot in the schedule, and when we're down, okay. Mark Malone says, "Well said, Mike. The
Mm.
sticks is flowing through you." Also,
Maybe next year I have to come in. My intro song has to be Renegade to flip the script on the Steelers to get us to go and where we need to go.
Phil still says, "Fellas, how about this? Did the defense quit on the offense? Can that be said?" The defense, I tell you what, the offense put the defense in a bad position a lot of this, especially during the stretch. John said the Steelers must use the 49ers and Commanders model and be relentless with their QB
Mm-hmm.
search. I agree. At this point, I agree. Get relentless. Do what you got to do. Go get your guy.
It's what we did. What in the late '90s, early 2000s? Until we, landed on Big Ben. We were
Yeah,
just
it was. If it
quarterbacks
wasn't
every other year.
Maddox, it was Tom Zach. If it wasn't Tom Zach, it was Cordell. If it
Kent
wasn't
Graham,
Cordell, it was Kent Graham. If it wasn't Kent
Jim
Graham,
Miller.
it was Jim Miller. If it wasn't, so you're right. We do have to relentlessly pursue if you want to get your guy, because that's what ultimately led to bringing Big Ben in, which was arguably, in my opinion, the biggest pickup that the Steelers ever had
Oh,
in the history of the team. So, you guys aren't wrong. Phil Sale says if he's learning from 43, then he's going to play like so. Talking about the gentleman out in San Francisco, which I would love to have him in our secondary next season if that be the case. Guys, I think
Tolano Hufanga.
yeah.
Hufanga. I think. I'm guessing here. No disrespect to my Polynesian
No, it's
brother.
Hufonga. That sounds right. Hufanga.
Hufanga.
But
Yeah.
of course, we'll learn that it's completely wrong. Like when we tried to pronounce Fumatu Malafala, we thought we had that right.
You give me a some weird dude from Russia. I can pronounce his name. You give me a Polynesian name, I struggle. I'm sorry.
Let's hop into this, Mike. We do want to talk about some important dates moving forward in the NFL. Of course, this weekend, the weekend of the 18th and 19th, we do have the divisional playoff games. On the 20th, we have. Okay, that's just talking about the national championship, of course, Monday. We'll talk about that here shortly. The weekend of the 26th is going to be the championship games between the AFC champions for the AFC champions and the NFC. February 1st is the Senior Bowl. A lot of people keep their eye on the Senior Bowl. That's down in Mobile, Alabama. February 2nd is the Pro Bowl games. February 9th is the Super Bowl down in Louisiana. February 18th, beginning this date through 4 o'clock p.m. New York time on March 4, clubs may designate franchise or transition players. February 24 to March 3, the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis is every year. March 4, prior to 4 o'clock, New York time deadline for clubs to designate franchise or transition players. Also, in March 10 through 12 is a negotiation period. During that period, beginning at noon Monday in New York time on March 10th, clubs are permitted to contact and enter into contract negotiations with certified agents of players who will become unrestricted free agents upon the expiration of their 2024 player contracts at 4 p.m. New York time on March 12th.
Legal tampering, baby.
Beyond that, the 2025 league year and free agency sign period begins at 4 o'clock p.m. On March 12th. Trading period for 2025. That begins on March 12th. And then the first day of the 2025 league year, let's see, clubs will receive personal notice that will include all transactions submitted by the league or to the league. Let's see what else. March 30th to April 2nd. You have your annual league meeting. That's the one that's down in Palm Beach, Florida. Now you're looking at April, guys. April 7th, clubs that hired a new head coach after the end of 2024 season may begin off-season workout programs. Let's look for anything here that might be important to us. Of course, you have you have deadlines for physical examinations in April. You have deadlines for restricted free agents in April. What date does that draft fall? And the draft is the 24th through the 26th in Wisconsin.
That's the one right there. That's the big day. The free agency and the draft, baby.
That is the 24th through the 26th of April in Green Bay, Wisconsin. May 1st, deadline for clubs to exercise their fifth year option for players selected in the first round of the 2022 draft. May 12th, rookie football development programs begin. May 14th, NFLPA rookie premiere. So, I mean, those are a lot of the important dates leading up to Mike. And then, of course, in July, we'll be getting ready to head back to camp and get things started. So there is a lot of things. And that's something Mike and I figured out about 3 years ago doing this show. Steelers season literally does go all year round. It's a 365-day a year season. I love that. I love that aspect. Some people like to walk away for a time. And you know what? Sometimes that's what you need for your own mental health. But 365 days a year, guys. A lot of important dates coming up, Mike. As I said, free agency, the draft, all these things, the combine. I love watching the combine now. When I was younger, I didn't so much. Now that I do like to follow the combine. So a lot of good things coming up, Mike, to keep this football season going, even beyond the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's a 365, 24/7 machine, baby. The NFL does not stop, and it does get exhausting, but also, man, once those certain milestones come in, oh, you can feel football in the air. Once legal tampering period happens, that I get uber excited. Then the draft happens. I'm ready for football to start right then and there.
John says Ben is the second best draft. 1974 will never be seen again.
Oh,
That's hard to argue.
What, four Hall of Famers in your first four picks? You get what, Donnie Shell as an undrafted free agent after 12 rounds of the draft. That guy's in the Hall of Fame as well. It's just never being matched again.
Yinzer Joe says, I can deal with losing Pickett's and Minka, but I can't TJ. He still wants to stay there. We can sign a free agent wide receiver and get picks for the trades to help the offense and defense. John says Derpy's on my GP's list. And John asks, are you both in the city? We're right on the outskirt of the city.
Outskirt, baby. That's where I like to be.
Yeah, me
where
too.
I like to be. I hate being around a lot of people. So if I need to get into the city, I'm in and out.
It's like Jen said the other day. We asked her if she's going to that draft. Can you imagine? I mean, they said there was 250,000 people. When you go down to the stadium for a game, there's 30,000, and it seems like there's a lot of people. Can you imagine 250 million or 1,000 people being jam packed into an area in Pittsburgh? I would love to go to that event next year, Mike. But geez, oh man, I think Pittsburghers will be the people that are there the least. It seems to me like a lot of people travel. And people from Pittsburgh are like, well, I know what the city's like to drive.
I'm not going into there
and try to navigate around. And I think Pittsburgh people will definitely be there, but I think a lot of Pittsburghers are going to be staying home for that event. That is a lot of people in our little triangle here in Pittsburgh to jam pack 250,000 people every day for the 3 days. Ay, ay, ay. John says, I'm planning out this fall for a recon. I plan to get an apartment. Oh, that'd be awesome, dude.
Wow.
I would love to meet Terry Bongshaw.
No, apparently, you don't want to go meet John. You just want to meet Terry Bongshaw.
Well, duh. No.
Oh, wow.
Let's see what else, guys. Let me just go over these couple things, Mike. Penguins back in action today. They actually play 2 days in a row today. They travel to Buffalo. This starts a 7-game road trip, to be honest with you, Mike. They start 7 games on the road today. They go to Buffalo, 7 o'clock tonight. Penguins then tomorrow travel down to Washington to take on the Capitals. That game's at 7 o'clock as well. That gets them through the weekend. As far as the theft, the robbery at Malkin's house, Malkin found the rings. That was originally reported that Malkin's house was broken into over the last weekend, and somebody stole his three Stanley Cup rings. Mike, they found them in the house. Make that make sense. Did the person steal them and set them down and forget that they stole them? Did Malkin just forget? Who knows what the hell happened in that house over the last weekend? But the rings that were stolen from Malkin in the robbery were, in fact, found in the home.
So, did they drop them on the way out? Did they
realize
what they were?
You think they would have noticed that pretty early on?
They take them maybe
cup rings laying on the
Maybe guilt hit in. They're like, man, we watched him play these games. We're just gonna put these back, man. We'll take all this other shit, but the cup rings, we're gonna leave those, man. If so, that's a Yinzer right there. We'll steal all your other valuables, but your championship rings, we're gonna put those back.
So there you go. That is your Penguin news. Starting a 7-game road trip tonight.
Oh, oh, and you know what? That might be what they need. Just get out on the road, get away from Pittsburgh. You just waived your starting goalie. Just get away.
If you're in town, the Clemson basketball team, they will be here tomorrow to play the Pitt Panthers. That game is at noon. Be one of the first 2,000 people there. Get a Sam Clancy statue given away for free upon entry. Also, the big playoffs, guys. We did do our picks yesterday for the playoffs. We'll see who comes out at the end when we come back Monday. We're going to have championship weekend ready. Tomorrow, 4:30, the first game of the weekend, the Texans, they do travel to the Kansas City to play the Chiefs. The second game, the 8 o'clock game tomorrow, is the Washington Commanders at the Detroit Lions. On Sunday, you have the Rams at the Eagles. That game's at 3 o'clock. And then at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, the Ravens at the Bills on Sunday evening, guys. And as I said, once we all gather back, once we congregate back together here on Monday morning, we will know. We'll know who's going to be playing in the championship game. And also, we're going to be down to 4 to see how we do on our Super Bowl picks as well, guys. So a lot of meaningful football. All the football played from now on. Losers go home. So this is when it all counts. And then Monday, we will talk more on Monday about the college football national championship down in New Orleans between the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and the Ohio State Buckeyes. I'd like to get Derpy in that day to talk a little bit to him about his Buckeyes. But we will hit that more on Monday. A lot of important things happening between then and now. So we will, Mike, after we see how the weekend goes in the NFL, we'll talk more about this this college football championship. What I'm going to do, I'm going to read a couple of these, Mike, then we are going to jump into the website.
Yeah.
Let's see, because I did see a couple new names jumped in, and I let's see, I don't want to leave anybody out.
Corey jumped in.
Let's see. Phil still says, John, you mean Peaches doesn't have right? That was John's first option. He wanted to move to Derpy's out at Derpy's at the Derpy farm.
Out the compound.
In the compound out in Eastern Ohio. We'll keep our eye on that for the availability for you. Let's see. Corey, what's up, dude? He says, hey, guys, who else thinks that Tomlin needs to be on the hot seat this coming season? I do, actually.
Yep.
He says, are we going to be letting GP go? Who's going to replace him? Boy, that's a really loaded question because here's the thing. There's so many parts to that question because if we do send GP down the road, we don't have a number 1 or a number 2, and that's not a place that you want to be in.
Yeah.
Especially because we couldn't get a guy that we wanted last year when we had our back against the wall. Of course, we'll have more wiggle room with more time, but again, I don't like the way that we pursued that other wide receiver spot. Omar Khan has been pretty aggressive. I do like that. So fingers crossed, guys. Let's see what else. John says Peaches is the main target. I'm trying a down low approach. I will adopt Derpy if necessary.
Wow.
That is commitment.
Wow. That is.
Wow.
Ooh.
Yes.
Man.
Corey says at Yinzers, who said you're losing Mink or TJ. Phil still said Corey Tomlin chance need to be sound. I agree. And here's the thing. I seen the other day, they don't. Somebody said they're going to do what they're going to do. Coach Tomlin's going to be here, and then because it's he's got a contract, and the coach in the office wants him there. At the end of the day, the fans' opinion does matter. It really does. They don't want their teams being booed on primetime games. They don't want people not showing up and putting paying money for a seat. So in a way, in a roundabout way, how do you think Kenny Pickett got hired or drafted if, in fact, the fans didn't have influence? Come on, that was the smartest pick they could have made at that point. I don't think so, guys. Again, you were right. Let them know that you're not happy. And again, here's the thing. What are they going to do? Turn around and say, you know what? We're winning Super Bowls. Shut up. They're not winning Super Bowls.
Yep.
So you do. I agree. Be vocal. Be heard. Mr. Solodolo, I think. Mr. Solodolo, he says, all love from the Ravens fan here. And what's up, man? Let's see. How do you feel about the Queen's first season? His old tendencies of not being able to cover are coming to light again. I was underimpressed with Patrick Queen. I knew that he was a good linebacker on a pretty good defense, his whole time in Baltimore. I was underimpressed, Mike, if that's the word.
Yeah, there were a lot of highs, there were a lot of lows, and in the valley wasn't what I wanted
him to be a little better.
Yeah, but let's see how he does next year. That's what I want to see. That second year with the team, let's see how he does. He doesn't need to be the pure cover linebacker. We got Peyton Wilson for that. He
He's
needs to,
solid, and you
yeah,
need solid because you can't have
yeah,
superstars at every position. But I really expected more from him. Just more. I expected more.
yeah.
But as you said, let's see what else. Phil says, Mr. Solodolo, Six got a feel of it. Let's see how he does in 2025. So, I mean, Phil's
Yeah.
optimistic about Patrick Queen. So, that's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people are seeing it different than I am. But I was underimpressed with Patrick Queen and this whole team in general. I think so. I don't think you can throw it all on Queen. John says Queen's juice wasn't worth the money squeeze. He can't handle the green dot. He can bounce. So again, that's just more opinion. Steeler for life. Welcome to the show. He says Charlotte, New York, about 60-ish degrees and sunny. Oh man, what I would do for that right now.
I know. My buddy, he's down in South Carolina, and he was bragging about the weather.
People were talking on the board about, or whoever was talking about giving up TJ, George Pickens, 2 first-round draft picks to get our quarterback. For that weather, I would give up Derpy. I would give up I'd keep Aunt Peaches.
You
I'd
got to
give
keep
up
Peaches.
Finch. I'd give up Derpy. Maybe even a Mike here for a couple 60-degree days. But you know what? That's really pushing it.
You know what? I respect that. I respect that. I'll jump on board the trade if I'm a team player, man. I'm a team player.
Corey, I'm sorry, Yinzer Joseph, Corey Beavers, TJ's contract is up and Minka is going to cost too much. There's been talk about trading both of them. Corey says, I just wish we learned, force Ben out with no plan, let AB go with no plan, refuse to pay a Bell with no plan. Now GP, we're trending downwards. When you put it that way, Mr.
So you're telling me
Solodolo
there's
says,
a chance?
Mr. Solodolo says, I'm content with Simpson. Roquan makes a good player out of anyone next to him. That seems to be the case. It really does. Corey says, I'm willing to bet both guys take a team-friendly deal to stay. TJ doesn't want to leave. He already said that. John says GP isn't happy with their either quarterback, which, a guy like GP, I mean, who knows what this is going to do. He wants out. He wants a stud who can feed him the ball so he can get paid. And Yinzer Joe says you can't pay the big monster contract for a guy like Queen who does average work. I would agree with that. Mike, why don't you go and tell everybody about the website?
The2dumyinzers.com. Check it out, everyone. Head on over there. So everyone who's new, we got all of our links over there with the merch store over there. And like I keep saying, the blog will be back after Steelers season or after the NFL season's over. We'll start that with something new and fresh. So yeah, check out the2dumyinzers.com.
Go check it out, everybody. There's a lot of things over there. There's a lot of cool stuff over there. www.the2dumyinzers.com. That's www.the2dumyinzers.com. Mike, the question of the day. This is a general NFL question about the teams that are still involved. So there are 8. Boom, says Field of Steel. There are 8 teams right now that are eligible to be the Super Bowl champion this year. Guys, this question is going to be regarding those 8 teams. All right, so here we go, Mike. Put on your thinking cap. Everybody on the board, everybody at home. This is the question of the day. How many Super Bowls combined? How many combined Super Bowl wins? I'm sorry. How many combined Super Bowl wins do the remaining teams have? So of the 8 teams, how many Super Bowl wins have been won between those 8 teams? Take a minute to think it over. We're live right here, Monday through Friday on YouTube, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every day. And we are also going to be picking back up a lot of times. There was times over the vacation and through winter that Wednesdays was a kind of an untalked about, an unsaid day off here and there. We will be back to our full 5-day weeks starting next week, moving forward as the holidays are past and all those kind of fun things, Mike. So back to 5 days next week. Every day, every week. That's right, baby. We'll be right here.
No, Mike will be sleeping. Mike will be sleeping.
And we'll be drawing weenies on his face. And
that's
like
fine.
this.
Mike will be sleeping.
But next week, back to 5 days every week. I can't wait. I cannot wait. Guys, that is next week. Also tonight, you do want to make sure if you have nothing going on around 9:30, come right here to the 2 Dumb Yinzers, the TDY Media. YouTube channel because tonight the two cranky Jagoffs, they will be back for their second show tonight at 9:30. Of course, Finch and his buddy Tim, they will be doing their show right here at 9:30 tonight. If you get a chance, come by, support, hit the like button, tell your friends, do whatever you got to do. But them guys will be on tonight at 9:30. Finch and Tim with the second coming of the two cranky Yankers. Two cranky Jagoffs. Remember the crank Yankers is where I was going with that?
Yes, crank Yankers, baby.
Crank Yankers. All right, guys. So back to the question of the day. It's this: how many combined Super Bowl wins does the remaining teams in the playoffs have? Mike, if you'd like to talk it out, you can to help you figure it out. I see some different answers on the board. Phil still has 9. John has 7. He says, but also 9 might be right. Mike, do you want to talk it out a little bit and see if you could figure this out?
I'm going with the one that's killing me. I can't remember how many the Washington Commanders Redskins football team, how many Super Bowls they have. So I'm going to go with 9, but 10 wouldn't surprise me.
All right. So 9, 10 wouldn't surprise you. Is 9 your final answer, Mike?
9 is my final answer.
All right. So, Mike, you're locked in. On the board again, John says 9, possibly 7. Phil still says 9. Mike says 9, possibly 10. The question of the day, guys, is this: how many combined Super Bowl wins does the remaining teams have in the NFL playoffs? Let me break it down for you. The first game, the Texans and the Chiefs play. Mike, how many does the Texans have?
0.
How many Super Bowls does the Chiefs have?
4.
Okay. So we have 4 in the first quarter of the teams. 25% of the teams. Here we go. Moving to the second game. The Detroit Lions, Mike, how many Super Bowls did they win?
0.
Mike, the Washington team was the one that you said. So we will come back to the Redskins here in a moment. Let's go to the Sunday games. Mike, the Rams, how many Super Bowls did the Rams win?
Oh, my God. I forgot they were at St. Louis. So they have 2.
So 2?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that puts us at 6 right now, Mike. We have 6 Super Bowls. Let's go to the Eagles. How many Super Bowl wins do the Eagles have?
1.
1. So that's 7. Let's go to the last game. Mike, we have 7 Super Bowls accounted. Next game, the Buffalo Bills. How many Super Bowls have they won?
0. City of losers.
How many Super Bowls have the Ravens won?
2.
So that puts us at 9. And now it comes back to Washington, Mike.
Damn.
I see on the board, John has Casey has 4. The Rams have 2. The Ravens have 2. Washington has 1. If you believe him, you could base your decision off of that.
Yeah.
Corey Beaver says, so it's 10. Mike, I need you to tell me. So there's 9 Super Bowl wins plus Washington's. Do you want to change your final answer? You have 9 or 10?
I'm going to go with 10.
Go with 10. All right. So I'm giving you that. It's Friday. I'm being nice, guys.
Yeah.
Question of the day: how many combined Super Bowl wins does the remaining teams have that's left in the playoffs? A bunch of different answers: 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Mike, you chose 10. The answer to this question is 12. The Washington Redskins did win 3.
Oh, man.
So those 9 plus the Redskins 3, they won with Joe Theismann, they won with Mark Rippon, and they won with Doug Williams. Those were their 3 winning quarterbacks. That's how I always will remember what the Redskins accomplished. Mike, 12 Super Bowls won between the remaining teams in the NFL playoffs. And that's actually pretty interesting considering 1, 2, 3 of the 8 has never won it. So
I like Washington. I always remember the Doug Williams Super Bowl. I always forget about Theismann and Mark Rippon. I forget about those ones. Oh,
yes, Dougie Williams and the Mark Rippon were real close together. One was the late 80 game, and then the other one was that early game against the Bills.
Yep. And I confused the Doug Williams one with the one against the Bills, and I conflate the 2.
So that was a Rippon, Yep.
But
guys, also I do want to say this. We spoke yesterday about the KFC in Mexico. No, Yinzer Joe, they are 0-4. All 4 in a row they lost in the early 90s. That Mexican KFC. Apparently, KFC didn't do it. The people did it. It was the NFL. NFL, as you said, Mike, you also came across the 49ers and the Chiefs KFC. The NFL, they are opening these team-friendly KFCs in Mexico, and I think it's really awesome,
I like it.
especially because they love their Steelers down across the border. So really cool. If you didn't get a chance to check it out, that is really something to see, Mike. That decked out KFC with all the Pittsburgh
I
stuff and
like it.
the neon. Man, it's wonderful. I wish we had them here. Wish we had them here. A couple things on the board here. I do want to see this real quick because this refers back to our our NWA group. Phil still says cheers to the end show. YWA. Ryan is DJ Yella. Mike is MC Ren. Finch is Ice Cube. Derpy is Dr. Dre. And
Oh,
Feel the
wow.
Steel is Easy E. All right.
Wow.
Because the boys in the hood
Wow.
are always hard. You come talking to
I
trash, we'll
like
pull
it.
your card. Knowing nothing in life but to be legit. Well, don't quote me, boy. You know what comes next. Let's see what else.
I'm afraid that real quick for Finch's diss track when he leaves us. Like, no
Yeah.
Vaseline might be the greatest diss track of all time. I don't want to hear a Finch's version of that. I'm afraid.
Mark Malone says Jay Schroeder, baby. John says Buffalo lost 4 in a row, no dubs. Dano, what's up, man? Good afternoon to you. He says, wait, Kentucky Fried KFC. Yes, that's right. Do check it out. Go online and look up down in Mexico. There's an awesome Steeler. I think Mike put up pictures yesterday on the show.
Yeah.
Big decked out logo, Steeler logo on the front of their building, all black and gold. You go inside, there's Steeler jerseys hanging. I kid you not, Dano. The people that work there wear Steeler jerseys at their job all day. Really, really cool. The NFL did that. They opened that up. And also, I believe 49ers and the Chiefs are out there somewhere as well. But the Steeler one is really cool. Do check that out if you get an opportunity this weekend. Yinder Joe says, damn, I think Buffalo is due. I do too. That's where I'm at also. I think Buffalo will be in the Super Bowl. NFL marketing at its best. John, for sure. Buffalo Lions. I think that's the Super Bowl everybody wants. I mentioned it on the show the other day. I think that would bring in the best ratings. Of course, the Super Bowl always does well, but Buffalo and the Lions, no wins between either of those teams. Both are pretty good teams now. I think the ratings would go through the roof if you get a Buffalo and Detroit Super Bowl this year. I'm going to be honest with you. Mike, getting ready to wrap things up for the weekend, brother. Anything before we get ready to roll, man?
Yeah. F Capital One. Where's my motherfucking movie check? Why is my direct deposit not in? Fix your shit. And if you can charge people late fees and overdraft fees, can I charge you for not having my paycheck dropped in when it should be dropped in? I charge 1,000% interest per minute.
That's what I'm saying.
And
why can't we
you owe me a lot of money.
Why can't we create policies? You ever go somewhere and they're like, well, you can't do that because that's our policy. Create your own policies. Carry your documents around in your back pocket, and anytime anybody tries to screw with you, be like, well, that's not my policy is not that. So
where my motherfucker, to quote Jay,
who are
motherfucking movie check?
Who are they? What else? Steelers are the world's team. That's right, Phil. That is right, baby.
Hell yeah,
black and gold all over the world, covering the world. Corey says Lions need the dub. Buffalo had their chance, 4 chances. You know what? I'd love to see these two teams. I think it would be a great game, especially between how talented these two teams are this year. P say, what's up, my man? P says Buffalo is just going to lose again, but the refs will help give them a push. And you know what? As long as it's not Kansas City at this point, I need to see the away from them.
I'm rooting for Kansas City. I want the 3-peat.
Kansas City, Baltimore, and Philadelphia could all go home this week, as far as I'm concerned. Let's go with that Buffalo Detroit Super Bowl. Mike, anything else besides your complaints about your financial?
No, F Capital One. Okay. F Capital One. I can't say what I want to say on air.
Yeah,
but
sure
yeah, F Cap. Oh no.
They do pretty funny commercials.
They do. What's in your wallet? Nothing, because I have Capital One in my wallet.
That's right. I think that's going to be everything, Mike. I just look like I'm going to touch on everything. Penguins, of course, back in action tonight. Catch them tonight and tomorrow on the start of a 7-game road series. Again, Pitt basketball hosting Clemson tomorrow at noon. And a lot of NFL football guys. Have you heard the Ravens conspiracy as to why they win? Did I hear? What is that? Real quick, if you can, Corey. What is that all about? And Dano, the best championships are when someone wins that has never won. Baltimore, caw. And I'll give it just another second here to see if Corey. I don't think I've heard about a conspiracy. Have I, Mike?
I haven't.
For some reason, I don't know why do I feel like I might have. Yeah, Corey, if you want to throw that up real quick. I don't think that I have. But I do want to say thank you, everybody, for coming and hanging out and checking us out today. We certainly appreciate each and every one of you. We truly, honestly, really do. We wouldn't do it without you. Thank you, everybody. I do want to say thank you, everybody on the board. You guys always keep things interesting, and everybody at home as well. If I don't get that, Corey, I will look into that over the weekend. But it feels to me like I remember hearing something about the Ravens and why they're going to win. Mike, anything else before we get ready to roll, man? Speak now, forever hold your peace.
No. Once again, F
Okay,
capital.
yes, I did. Okay, Corey. Yeah. Mike, it's that every 12 years with a 28-year-old quarterback, they won a Super Bowl.
Oh.
Dilfer was 28 in 2000, Flacco's 28 in 2012, and Lamar just so happens to be 28 right now in
Ooh.
2024. So I did hear that. Yeah,
I'm
it's
about to go put
interesting.
some money on that Super Bowl now.
Same way with the Green Bay Packers. They're 27-year-old quarterbacks. Bart Starr did it in Super Bowl one. Brett Favre did it in 1997. And then Aaron Rodgers did it again in 2011. All were 27 years old. So, as P says, look at the numerology here. Thank you, John. Thank you, everybody. Mike, that's it, brother. Anything
That's
else,
it,
man?
man. Good,
All
man. I'm
right.
good. Great show, everyone.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everybody. Enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. Keep warm. Um, catch up on these football games. We got a lot of things we're going to talk about Monday morning. And a lot of things going forward. After that, we will be getting ready to head into championship games next weekend and a whole lot more stuff. So again, everybody stay safe. Have a great weekend. From Mike in the Steelers Central Mobile Studio, myself, the two Dum Yinzers. Have a great one. We'll see you on Monday. Bye-bye.